Hey y'all, it's Nancy the Handy Scandy. Welcome back for another crafty venture. Today I bring you another episode of Saturday Morning Makes. It has been a few weeks since I've been able to share anything with you, but this is episode 31 for me. It's the year 2024. I have a lot to share, so let's go ahead and get into it. Hey y'all, happy Saturday Morning Makes. Welcome in. I am running a little behind. It's been a little I don't know, it's been hectic here. I'm sure it's been hectic for everybody. That's just kind of life. But long story short, got delayed. I'm here today. This is about 5:30 Sunday morning, so I'm not too far off. But yeah, I just wanted to come and share my things with you. I think we'll start in the middle. So let me slide my other things out of the way. Okay, so last week I received some happy mail from Miss Tina over at Crafty Bean, and she sent me these stamps, or the stamps that I used to create these cards, and many of you wanted to see them done first, so I think we'll go ahead and start with the pig because that seemed to be a favorite for many of you. I do not have all of the supplies out here, but for the most part I do. So the most important thing I think is the stamp. Look at that. Now again, this is from Art Impressions, 1998, and she gifted this to me, but it's a little pig, all the little farmyard animals, the dog, the oh, I thought he was a squirrel. He's a mouse. There's a couple ducks down here. There's a bird, a sheepy, and a goat. They're all trying to get him up, I guess. It's hilarious. So stinking cute. Their faces say it all. But here it is. I stamped it out in, I don't remember what ink I used. Versifying Clair, I think, Nocturne. And then I watercolored it with my 36 pan set that I got from Amazon. And the stenciling in the background is this stencil from this calls for Confetti. It's newly released today, Sunday, September 1st. It is called Sparkle Abstract. It's a 6x6. I absolutely love this stencil. But I put just a little bit of pixie spray on the back side. I have another kind of spray coming from Amazon, so I'm going to compare them and see which one I like best. But the Mylar is just thick enough that it creates a well. So if you're going to put any kind of paste through there, I used watercolor, and look at how defined that is. It stayed within the confines of the little openings versus running up under. Now that wasn't the case every time I used it because the sticky, what is it called? Pixie spray, it lost its tack, so it didn't keep it you know, adhered quite as well on some of the other panels that I made. But I think it looks great. I used obviously a blue and a green, and then once it was dry I ran some pops of color through it just to give it a little more sparkle and some depth. Now that did run under. That was just me being hasty and messy, but I'm not mad about it. I think it's an adorable card. Now I don't have sentiments on these barnyard cards, but you know, I can add a sentiment onto them anytime I need. So I created this, well, I cut it out with a circle and created this little frame by using my Hero Arts nesting infinity dies. So I used the largest and the second largest. I used the largest to cut out the panel, and then largest and the second largest to create this frame. And I just had some glitter cardstock in my stash, and I felt like it coordinated well enough with that sky blue. So I thought that was fun. And then this is a piece from Brutus Monroe. I could not find the pack as I was pulling everything out. And then this background is from this one from Impression Obsession from Miss Anna Wight. And then this piece here, I actually used one on each of these three cards. But these are these sweet little laser cut lace borders that my kiddo sent me. I don't know if you guys remember me saying I got them in the mail and I didn't know where they were from. They're from my kiddo. So they're absolutely beautiful and they're so intricate, and I thought they have such a country feel that they were perfect on here. So just added a little bit there. Used this postage die to cut out the Brutus Monroe panel, and then just some green cardstock and some textured cardstock right behind it, just to add kind of a calm place for your idle land, if you will. And then we'll move on to this little guy, super, super cute. He is this, and you do know for the longest time, I've only had it a week, but until I stamped it out, I thought it was a hippo. I can clearly see that it's a pig. In my brain, it was a hippo until I stamped it out, and I was like, oh my goodness, that's a pig. And this probably should have been brown because it's probably, you know, just wallowing in its mud. And again, I used that stencil in the background, but this time I stamped it. So I stamped it on both, excuse me, the green and the yellow, and just super cute. Now, if you look close, you can still see the shape of the stencil. I love the way that looks. And then, of course, this purple coordinates with that purple, which is from this paper pad from Impression Obsession, the Quilted Grunge. Both of those from Impression Obsession are from our lovely friend, Miss Anna Wight. And then I use that little piece of yellow, and then another piece of that laser cut trim. So, so cute, so much fun. And then this one is this sweet little cow. This one is from Tina Marie, 1991 Lisa's Designs. I didn't tell you this one. This one is Art Impressions. I don't know if the year is under that or not. Oh, I want to say pardon my nails. They're awful. I haven't been able to get to the salon, but I hope to go either today or tomorrow. But anyway, you can see that I used the stencil in the background again. This is where it didn't stick very well, but you can still see the shapes. I did the green and the blue, and then I printed them on another panel that I'll show you here in a minute. But used a couple different die sets to cut that out. You can see that I used that chicken wire. Used that in the background. Another of those laser cut lace strips there. And then I used this set from Pink Fresh Studio. And then this one from Spellbinders. Got stuff falling everywhere. And so I used Pink Fresh Studio on the gray layer, and then the Spellbinders on the card panel layer itself. And I think they're all just adorable. Again, used the same paint palette to paint all of these. I stamped them out one morning and painted them all. I do have a video coming with them, so stay tuned for that if you want to see that whole painting process. And I said that I would show you the panel where I stamped the green and blue stencil. Well, you can't really see it anymore because I obliterated the background. That's what I do. But this, I love it. I absolutely love this card. Now, it was created with that new stamp set. I think it's called Eerie. Oh, Eerie Enchantment from Unity. And I stamped out all three of the main characters on watercolor card, because this, again, this was where I had taken my stencil that had blue and green paint on it, and I flipped it over and I stamped it, and it turned out just to have like blue and green water spots. You know, it didn't really have the design or the texture, but I went with those same colors. And I pulled out another stencil that I can't seem to find, but I've used it before. I have no idea who it's from. I feel like it's either Catherine Pooler, Simon Hurley, or maybe Cartabella, maybe. It's one of those. But anyway, it's like a trellis look. And I used my Goosebumps to do not an emboss resist, but I don't know, a stencil resist, I guess. Now this one is a shimmery one. You don't have to get the shimmery one. This works very similar to if you were to use, you could use just plain Versamark. You could do emboss resist where you use Versamark and then heat emboss in clear or white, and then it resists the whatever pigment you put down over it. Or you could use Distress Resist spray. I happened to use Goosebumps today. So Goosebumps to me is quite messy, at least the way that I use it, and maybe it's user error and not the product, I don't know. but I love the way it looks. And I used these colors. I used Bundled Sage. That's pretty much the bottom. And then I used these two for the upper portion. They're fireworks sprays from Imagine Crafts. I used Desert Sand and Paris Dusk, and they turned out so lovely. It's so good. And then I used that same postage die to cut it out, and I layered up several layers of mats. I think they're absolutely beautiful. Popped the little bat up on some, actually what I'm using right now is the foam left over from weeding the stamps out. So I pull the rubber off, which you could use the rubber too, because the rubber is almost as thick, or maybe it's the exact same thickness as the foam. But I use the foam, you can see, or maybe you can, I don't know. But I use the foam down behind the Feelin' Wicked and behind the bat. And that is something that I did in the very beginning before there were pop dots. We used this. So Tina, Miss Crafty Bean, I know you said somebody that you bought a stash from had the rubber left in their set. That's why. Because we use it to pop things up, and it's pretty high loft, to be honest. But I also went around the panel with my sewing machine, and I love the way that looks. It's not straight at all. It's quite wonky, but I'm getting better at sewing a straight line, and I love how I went back and forth and it got messy, and then I left a little strings. I actually have glued them down a little bit, not all over, but just to kind of keep it there as a little, I don't know. But then I did the Feelin' Wicked. I used a set from Whimsy, I think it's called Quick Strips Sentiment Dies, and I cut out the black circle on the back. So the it's not a circle, it's an oval. The oval in this die set one has stitching, one doesn't. I used the one with stitching. It's shaped just a little bit differently. And then on the Feelin' Wicked, I used this oblong one, and I cut one end, and then I slid it through, and I cut the other end. And then I used some of the Bundled Sage to color the cardstock, and then I used a white gel pen to highlight the words. So, and I did take some gel pen to all the characters. You can't really tell. It didn't make much of an impact in this case. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. So, all right, so there is that one. Let me scooch those back. And then I created these two. Again, taking that same stencil, and then I printed it to create this one, and then the next card I went through the stencil, and then I printed it to create this one. And while the stamps were wet, I actually stamped them 3 times. Well, I stamped each one, and then it left kind of a blurred watercolor look in the background, and then I went back over it and I stamped them again, so that brought in the detail. So I did not add any color to them this time. On this one I added some yellow, and I added a little bit of pinky peachy to their cheeks, just to give them just a smidge of a pop of color. I used this pattern paper from scrapbook.com. It's the first time I pulled it out, but I just went with the black and white. And of course there's stars and polka dots, solid black, stripes. This one says Magical Day. And I used these dies from, I believe they're Creek Bank Creations, to cut the background panel on this one. I did not on this one. Again, I used that same square, decorative square set from Spellbinders, and this one is the one from Pink Fresh Studio. So the backgrounds again are the Bundled Sage, and then on this one I used some of the Desert Sand as well. This one's all Bundled Sage. Oh, not true, because I did come in with Killed Paint on this one, so there's some shimmer on that too. But yeah, you can see the shimmer in there. But then I added just this little twine. It's like an upholstery thread. Wrapped it around. Added a button from the stash that Tina gifted me this week. And then on this one I used, this is actually onion netting. And I've been using that a lot on different projects. So I put a strip of it on here just for some added texture. I added a cream colored piece of lace because I wanted to bring some of that creamy color, that creamy beigey color down here into the white, because I've got white and cream and green up there. But then I added another button from the stash, and then the sentiment, let's get spooky. Obviously this one says Happy Halloween. The sentiments are from the stamp set, and those are those two cards. And now the fourth one is just a little bit different. And I just used watercolor card that was already cut out, just sitting on the desk. So while the stamp was wet, I stamped it out on this one, just like I did on these two. And then I took the stencil and I put the goosebumps through it. Again, very messy, right? You can see, I mean, it's not a defined stencil shape at all, but I think it looks really good. And then I used the Desert Storm, no, I used the Paris Musk and the Bundled Sage to create the colors on the background. And I stamped him onto the kind of muddy watercolor background, but the colors are so dark that you just couldn't see him. So I went ahead and stamped him out again and colored him and lifted him up again on some of that foam, that residual foam from weeding out the red rubber stamps. And then this little tag was from my stash. It's from the Whimsy Stamps. What is that set called? Mini Slim Tag Dies or something like that. And that's one of the smallest ones, obviously. The Jack and the Eek are both from this stamp set, and I thought that they looked really cute on the little tag. Fun way to incorporate tags into your projects. A lot of times we make tags and then we don't know what to do with them. Well, that is one way that you can use your tags up, or create tags to be used in a kind of a thoughtful and mindful way. So finally, I have some cards that I made for this Calls for Confetti. They have a new release today, September 1st, but the products that I used to create these cards were actually released earlier. So this one I shared on Instagram already. I love these products. I cannot tell you enough. So this die is the Bougie stencil and die set. On this one I just used the die because I also die cut out a bunch of wood planks from the What Lies Beneath die set, and you can see I've got them quite the mess in there, but this set is so amazing, so versatile, so fun. I'm having a blast with this. So this is kind of the idea that you would create a floor, and then these broken panels come out, and that's where you can put a shaker element underneath. Absolutely genius. I'm telling you guys, if you are not familiar with this Calls for Confetti, please use my link and hop over there, because there's so much that you want to see, especially if you love Halloween. We're not doing spooky Halloween whatsoever, but just lots of fun. Very, very, I can't think of the word that I don't know. Lisa Mensing is the owner and the designer of all the products. And because she's a crafter as well, she has a different take on what she wants for her products. So I die cut out all of the wooden planks, and then I adhered them to I think it was smaller than a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. I don't remember what size it was. It was just a scrap. And then I took the die and I die cut it out, and I did some ink blending around the edges, and I took my memento pen and I went along the edges here. And then these little ghosties are from the Ghostly Greetings die set. I've used them a bunch. There's 3 different ghosties in there. There's a front, and then there's a layering piece and a 3-piece word die set. I have all of these die cut out. That's a lot. So, like I said last time I showed these, you'll be seeing those a lot from me because they're already ready to go. So 2 of them on here, and then also I use the What Lies Within die set. This coordinates with What Lies Beneath, because when you think about creaky old floors that might have secrets hidden underneath, where do you think those are going to be? In old, likely haunted houses, right? So that's why those 2 coordinate together, and I love it. But those wood planks can be used for anything you want to use them for. Yes, they're designed specifically to be a wood floor, but it's a wood plank. You can make a fence. You can do a wagon. You can do a wheelbarrow. You can do a woody, you know, the woody cars. Like you can make a surfboard out of it. You could make a table, a shelf, anything made of wood. You can use these for. So I digress a little bit, but they're so versatile. They're so versatile. And this is meant to be like a full-size card panel, basically. They layer together. One layer is black, the other layer could potentially be yellow to show, you know, the light shining through, and then the moon and whatnot. So, but I die cut this out, and then I cut the bats out, and I cut the little seam out so that I could add it here, and then I also ran the bottom of it through the pumpkin. So that is how I did that card. So die cut heavy, but not die cut heavy in a way that was overwhelming to me. Like this size die cut I can deal with. It's when you get down to the teeny tiny little pieces that I get very overwhelmed. And speaking of that, I don't like to layer the two different pieces, because then you're layering all these little tree branches in the fence, and that's too tedious for my brain. But anyway, with that being said, I also added some of these gloss black, what does she call these? Sparkle gems. And they just catch the light so beautifully. I love them. Love, love, love. Love that card. I think it turned out super cute. Oh, and the strip of paper is from the Boo 6x6 pattern paper pad. It was released last year. I am using every bit that I have. It's still available. But look at those colors. Isn't that fun? So very fun. I love it. All right, next we have, this one is similar. Pumpkin done the same way. And then on the background, I use the Wicked Webs. Do I have that out? Oh, here it is. The Wicked Webs. And I used the web die to emboss the background. I don't know if you can see that. I ran it through 3 times, so it's there. Hoping you can see that texture. It's really fun. And I did some splatter on both layers, of course. And then the Happy Halloween and the spider, super creepy spider. Look at those teeny tiny thin legs. I used some clear drops to create just some texture on the back. And then the confetti I picked out from this brand new set. Now this is called Creepy Crawlers, and I love those little stars. There's 5-point stars and 4-point stars, and I pulled some of each out, and I just added the sparkle kind of going in a diagonal, but there's lots of it. And then the words Happy Halloween are from Wicked Webs as well. One thing to know about those is that each letter is cut out individually. And I know for some that's a deal breaker. You don't want it, and you don't have to do it. But Lisa suggests that you use double-sided tape before you cut them out. So you have your cardstock, you put some double-sided tape on the back, you run your letters through, then you pull the double-sided tape off, and it's already sticky. So you can just lift it with either your lifter tool or with your tweezers and put it right into place. And I have to say, I didn't do that, but it came out just fine, and it was much easier. And I don't like the fussy bits, y'all. I don't like it, but this was not bad at all. It really wasn't, and I would not lie to you. If it were difficult, even though I love Lisa and her company, she knows that I would give that feedback to her and to you, and it was not hard at all. So there is that one. You can see that I cut the ghost out of black cardstock with white eyes. I thought that was fun. Something a little different. And then, let me see, I have 2 more of this calls for confetti projects to share with you. And these will be shown on social media later, but I just wanted to share them here real quick. So this is where I use the stencil set to create the pumpkin. And you can look at all of the texture, like there are actual ribs in the pumpkin that are created through those different layers. And then this sparkly layer is actually one of the last ones, and I ink blended in black, and then I added some milk glass sparkle. I think that was a stickle actually that I put through there, and I think it's a lot of fun. It's kind of, depending on how the light hits it, it's kind of, I don't know, it has kind of a pinky purple cast to it. and one light, and then it's kind of a yellowy gold in another, and then it's just kind of spooky and mysterious. But I have the little ghosties in shades of orange to pull out those colors from the pumpkin. The boo is layered up in some of the same colors, but I made sure to use the word boo in yellow because I wanted to pull the yellow out on the pumpkin. And then I used these beautiful orange calcite confetti from, again, this calls for confetti. All of this right now is this calls for confetti. And I just, again, put them on in a diagonal just to carry your eye across the card. I love this. And then this one, you know, I had to be true to me and make a tag. I used the Hello Elongated Frame die to create this shape. And so basically I took the card panel die and I cut it out because I wanted the whole shape. So that's what gave me my oval. And I cut that out of some thin leftover cardstock from some kind of packaging. It's not even cardstock, it's cardboard from some kind of packaging. And then I used the same thing to create another layer with the wood planks, and then half of the layer with the buffalo plaid from the Boo 6x6 paper pad. And then I added pops of green. I thought that was so much fun. I am all about black and white with a pop of the slime green right now. I'm not sure what that's about. But I also added some more of that onion mesh, and I added some trim from my stash, and I put the green behind the ghostie's eyes to make it pop out. And then this little piece is actually a reinforcer from a tag die set that I purchased from, I think it was scrapbook.com, and I think the designer is Sam Poole for Creative Expressions. And I just popped the ghost up on a little bit of double-sided foam tape, and that is it. That is my tag. In fact, those are all of my projects for today. So I know I had quite a few. I hope that didn't bog you down. I apologize if it did. Let me know your thoughts. Do you have favorites? Would you like to see more of anything? I think I'm gonna move on to do some design team work today. This is September 1st as I'm filming, and we have new release day for this calls for confetti. And it's also a new release day for Whimsy stamps. There's all kinds of amazing fun Halloween stuff coming out. But for now, guys, I'm going to go ahead and cut this off. Let me know your thoughts. I can't wait to get out there and see everybody else's makes. You'll notice I have not even shared a video in a couple of weeks just because. So anyway, thank you for spending some time with me. Thank you for coming to Saturday Morning Makes on a Sunday or whatever day it happens to be when you're watching it. And until next time, guys, mwah, I'm out. Hey, this is Editing Nancy. Make sure that if you like this video, you give it a thumbs up. Go ahead and subscribe if you are not already a member of my crafty tribe. I would love to have you back. Make sure you ring that bell so you're alerted every time I post new content and new fun things to watch and do. And I will see you very soon in the next one. Bye-bye.